Hi everyone, welcome back to the Devops bucket. So in this video, I am going to explain you about EKS Pod Identity and how it works and why it came into existence and every detail about it, how it internally works as well. So let me tell you, the EKS nodes that are running as a part of the cluster and the pods that are running inside the nodes can communicate to the AWS services where you require authentication and authorization. So in that case, for AWS especially, we require some kind of authentication authorization mechanism, right? For that, there are actually four ways that your application can communicate to the any service. Let's say this is your EKS cluster. This is your EKS cluster, and this is your EKS node which is running inside the cluster. Okay, this is the node, and this is the P1 pod P1 which is running inside the node N1. This is a cluster C1. Okay, the pod want to communicate to the a service called S3. Okay, to put some object, or initially sometimes it will also work like get object. Okay, so in this case, how the authentication and authorization mechanism will happen by default and how this came into existence, we will look into it. Okay, so currently pod P1 has an application, contains an SDK configuration of AWS SDK which will communicate to the other AWS APIs. So in this kind of mechanism, calling mechanism, your AWS SDK will look for access key secret key, whether you have any static credentials that have been configured. And second thing, if that is not found, then it fall back to the node role. If any IAM role that has been associated to this pod or maybe to the node, then it will use that, will assume that and do the operation. But if we are using the node role, every pod inside that node will inherit that role. That might be something like a difficult case if you are using any secure way of pods inside the node, which because every pod contains the same kind of permissions, so that is avoidable now. And second one is to use IRSA, which is IAM role for service account. We will create one service account, attach one IAM role, and use some OIDC practices like creating identity provider URL and token exchange between STS and the OIDC will be helping you to get the communication and authentication authorization between your pod and S3. So this is also happening. I have already explained this in my previous video. That becomes somewhat difficult of the configuration and everything, and then comes with pod identity. Pod identity is usually sending IAM role to the service account, but here there is one more component called pod identity agent which will keep taking this every step by step procedure of authentication and authorization. So this is where it differs with IRSA, because it has some agent which will doing all these kind of activities, how it internally works. So as I said, you understood the flow, that how application SDK will check, right? In that case, pod identity is also there. Instead of directly going to AWS, the request actually goes to a something, an agent which is running inside the node parallel to your pods as a DaemonSet, responsible for the pod identity connection and pod identity working. Okay, so the agent runs on all the nodes, which is called pod identity agent. Okay, pod identity agent will runs on every node, that is a DaemonSet. Okay, no matter where your pod is running, there always one agent available locally to that pod inside the same node. Now your pod is basically saying, I want AWS credentials to communicate to S3, right? The agent receives this request, and first thing it does is to identify who is asking. Who is asking? My which pod is asking, or which service account this communication is happening. The agent receives the request and then it identifies which resource is doing the request. It checks the pod sent request, which namespace it belongs to, and importantly, which Kubernetes service account is doing this call, because pod or application itself will uses a service account in the Kubernetes concept to go outside or to do actions inside the cluster, right? So it identifies which pod, which namespace, and which service account the call is coming from. So here the question comes, how this pod identity will identify which service account is correct or which service account is wrong to provide a credentials or permissions. That is where we have one setup to need to done in the in the cluster side, that is called pod identity association. Called pod identity association. Okay, what is this pod identity association? Association means what to associate? there are two things to associate. One is IAM role to service account in a particular namespace. Okay, what we need to associate an IAM role to a particular service account exists in the namespace where your pod is running, which you want to attach your service account to. Okay, so here there are two terminologies. One is pod identity agent itself, which is responsible for receiving the request from the pod and providing the required information to the pod to communicate with the AWS services. But how it will identify everything? Because we have already associated one thing, that is IAM with our service account. So this is called pod identity association. I will show you in the UI once we proceed further. So this is where we told AWS that a particular service account should use a specific IAM role. So now the agent knows, okay, this pod is using this service account and this service account is already mapped to the IAM role in my pod identity association. So now agent takes responsibilities and talks to the AWS on behalf of the pod. It calls a service called STS. It calls a service called STS because everywhere to give the temporary credentials from the role perspective, IAM role perspective, STS should come into picture. What is STS? A simple token service which will provide us a temporary token for authentication purpose. Okay, and it says to STS that I want to assume this role. Then AWS verifies this request. If everything is valid, then sends back a temporary credentials. How this verifies? Because this STS will checks the IAM roles trust policy. What is the trust policy? It contains a name called pod identity. So that means it's coming from the pod. So it is trustable. So I am giving the temporary credentials. And remember, these are not permanent credentials, they are short lived, like X key, secret key, or session token. These three will be provided, these are temporary. Now the agent takes these credentials, give back to the pod. From the pod's perspective, it simply asked for credentials and got them. That's it, it doesn't know anything. Now the application uses these temporary credentials and do a successful call to the S3. It is how this is completely different from IRSA. So in IRSA, we have to set up OIDC and JW token exchange will be done, and one API called assume role with web identity will be happened, and all these activities is not needed now. Agent is abstracting all the flows that are required with the pod and the user, so it will automatically doing the connections and getting the temporary credentials and providing to the application. So pod identity is much simpler to manage. This is why, because we are depending on one of the agent and easier to debug also. You may wonder, like, this pod is communicating to this pod identity agent, right? So in this case, there is a webhook called Mutating webhook of the pod identity agent, which will inject some environment variables to this pod, like credential URI and token file. So these two things will be injected into the pod's environment variables, from which this pod identity agent, this pod will read those things and do an HTTP call to this pod identity agent with those token information and the credential URI. So this pod identity agent will get this HTTPS call and will pick up the request from there and go to the STS to communicate this. Everything will be happened. Okay, I hope you understand the flow, right? Whenever pod creation happens, this webhook will be triggered and this webhook will inject some environmental variables to your application pod, like credential URI and the token file. With those things, it will do HTTPS call to this pod identity, which is running as a daemon set in the log. Okay, I hope you understand the flow, how it is working. Now let's go to the EKS cluster. Okay, I have created one cluster, EKS cluster, it's inactive, and if I see the compute resources, the node group is also active. Let's go to add-ons, and if I click on get more add-ons and search for the pod identity. Okay, so this is the EKS pod identity agent. So it installs EKS pod identity agent to use EKS pod identity to grant AWS IAM permissions to pods through Kubernetes service accounts. Okay, you hope and you understand this concept. Now if I go to click on next and here click on next. Okay, so it was creating an add-on called EKS pod identity. Just create it. Okay, so before that, let us go to IAM and create one role, because we need to associate the role. That's our idea, right? Yeah, let me open this role, create to the role. Let me show you how this trust policy will be in AWS services. Click search for EKS. Okay, here if you scroll down, see that EKS pod identity allows pod in the EKS cluster to access AWS resources. Click on EKS pod identity, click on next. here if let's say I want to do S3 S3 role. Okay, if you see this, if you see the trust policy, what it is trusting for pod.eks.amazon.com. So whenever pod is making the calls, that is service account making the calls in the respect of the pod, and the then agent taking up, and the call is coming to the AWS through agent. So this is how it identifies whether it is coming from pod agent or not. Okay, this is the trust policy. Okay, it will be created. Now in the Kubernetes it got installed. Let's click on connect. We can connect from here as well. Okay, just run nodes -o wide. If you see the pods that are running here, or we want pod identity, right? See, the pod identity agent is running as a daemon set in the kube system namespace in the same node where the other pods are running. So let me show you the about webhooks. If I say mutating webhook configuration get kubectl get, see, if you see pod identity webhook is there. So this is what it will do, that required environmental variables will be injected. Okay, let's to show you cube. Let me create one service account. Let's say test in default namespace I am creating. Okay, let me create one pod which is an AWS CLI pod. Okay, let me update my service account name as a test. Okay, and sleep I will increase the timeline for now, just we need to observe few things. Okay, now let me apply this pod. Okay, now it has been created. Let me see kubectl get pod. Okay, now it's continuing creating. Let's wait for a moment. Okay, now it is running fine, right? Let's go inside the pod. Kubectl exec fnit. Okay, now I am inside the container. If I see env, okay, if you see whatever you are able to see, just observe here. Now let me see AWS S3 LS. Okay, whether will it work or not. See, it is saying unable to load credentials, please configure it using AWS login, because there is it I told you, right, there are multiple things that it will check, but it can't able to identify anything. Okay, now let me go to the EKS cluster and go to the access. If you scroll down, you are able to see this pod identity association. This is where we need to associate. Click on this 3 role that I have been created. This is the IAM role, and the Kubernetes namespace is default in my cluster, and here the test one I have created, right? Yes, and click on create. Okay, now the association has been completed, right? Now run the new pods. The old pods will need to be restarted. Okay, the pod has been deleted. Now let me apply the YAML file again to create a new pod. Okay, it has been created. Let's verify the pod name, pod details. Okay, it is running. Let's go inside the pod this time. Okay, now let me type env. If you see, are you seeing any difference? Right, one credential URI has been added, and region has been added, and the AWS container token file has been added, says EKS pod identity token, and these details are added, right? The credentials, link, URL where that need to be contact to. So everything has been added, right? So these additions, this mutating actions will be done by that webhook. If webhook is the failure, you cannot able to work with the pod identity. It will show an authentication authorization failures. Okay, so now let's again run AWS S3 LS this time. This time it shouldn't ask us to create. See, AWS S3 LS doesn't show any error. To quickly see whether the bucket has been showing correct output or not, so let me create a bucket, and let me use the regional because of demo name. Okay, demo fn bucket, and click create bucket. Okay, I'm creating one demo bucket just to see S3LS will be working properly fine or not. So let me now type AWS S3LS. This time, see, it is working, right? So this is how the pod identity agent works. I hope you understand the flow, right? How the pod communicate to agent. Agent will do its respect of the pod and the user. It will get the token credentials and give it, and the information about the credentials URI and be shown in the env section of every pod, which is done by the mutating webhook. So this is how the pod identity will work. I hope you understand this thing. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. If you require any other suggestions or any other topics, please let me know in the comments below. If you are watching this video for the first time, please like and share and subscribe our channel. Thank you.